Welcome back. Here I am with a new chapter for you today, chapter number 3, Journey to the End of the Earth, written by Doshi. And this is taken from Vistas. Let's proceed. Before I start the explanation part, let me give you a brief intro of this. That is, the chapter is titled Journey to the End of the Earth. That is here the author Doshi undertook a journey to the end of the earth. By the end of the earth we mean the poles, North and the South poles, and these two are considered to be the end part of the earth. And here she made a journey to this end part of the world, and this chapter is a description of that journey that she undertook to reach that part. It includes the journey and also the kind of things that she experienced there, and what activities are conducted there, and how they are related to the human beings, their present, past, and future. So let's begin now. Early this year, I found myself aboard a Russian research vessel, the academic Sokolsky, heading towards the coldest, driest, windiest continent in the world, Antarctica. So here, what she says, early this year is not mentioned here right now, so we'll get to know about it later as we progress, as we proceed. So early this year, that is the year that she that she undertook the journey. So early in that year, she found herself aboard a Russian research vessel. She was there aboard, that is, she was on board the Russian research vehicle, that is a vessel, that is a ship. That is, the Russian research vessel was designed, was assigned at the same time for the purpose of research to the poles, or to the tip of the earth, one side of the tip of the earth. And this vessel was named Academic Sokolsky, and this was heading towards this vessel was heading, she was on board this ship, and the ship was heading towards the coldest, the driest, windiest continent in the world. That is, in fact, the coldest continent, the driest, and also the windiest continent in the world. Why is this? Because as you know, this place remains covered with snow throughout the year, and there is a thick layer of ice cover to the entire area. So naturally the place is the coldest. At the same time, this is the driest because there is no humidity, so that is driest, and at the same time windiest. Why? Because there is no natural vegetation, no trees, no plants. So there is no obstacle coming to the path of the wind. When there is a wind blowing, there is no obstacle received by it, so it keeps on blowing with the same ferocity, with the same violence, or with the same speed. My journey began 1309 degrees north of the equator in the Madras and involved crossing 9 time zones, 6 checkposts, 3 bodies of water, and at least as many ecospheres. So she started the journey from 1309 degrees north of the equator. From equator it was 1309 degrees north, and the exact location was Madras. And to reach that place, that is, journey began from Madras, and as she started the journey, she had to cross 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints she had to cross, then 3 water bodies she crossed, then equal number of, that is 3 ecospheres as well. By the time I actually set foot on the Antarctic continent, I had been traveling over 100 hours in combination of a car, an airplane, and a ship. So by the time she reached the edge, the boundary of the Antarctica continent, she had been traveling. By that time, she had been traveling 100 hours, and those 100 hours involved traveling by car, airplane, and ship. So my first emotion on facing Antarctica's expansive white landscape and uninterrupted blue horizon was relief, followed up with an immediate and profound wonder. So as she reached there, she was amazed by the expansive white landscape, because there was only white color, because snow is white, so white, and it was expansive. That is, it spread everywhere. There was spread of white ice, and then landscape and uninterrupted blue horizon. And the blue horizon, that is, the sky was blue there because there is no pollution, air pollution, so the sky always remains blue. Uninterrupted, that is uninterrupted. There is no obstruction, no interruption. So you can see the horizons, blue horizons, the end where it meets the ground, the earth. So relief, and that when she reached there, she found all these things. The first emotion was that of relief, that she had been traveling for a long time, so she felt relieved reaching there, followed up with an immediate and profound wonder, and that was followed up with profound wonder. She was so surprised, so hugely surprised. Wonder at its immensity, because that was huge. Everywhere there was white snow cover, so she was amazed. Its isolation, but mainly at how there could ever have been a time when India and Antarctica were part of the same landmass. She was wondered by all these things, all the surrounding, all the thing in the surrounding, immediate surrounding. But later she was aware, and she realized that once India was part of India and Antarctica were both together, and she wondered how these two land masses were together. 650 million years ago, a giant made its southern supercontinent. Gondwana did indeed exist, centered roughly around the present-day Antarctica. So 650 years, 60 million years ago, it was a giant supercontinent that was joined together, and that was known as Gondwana, and that it indeed existed as found by the researchers. Things were quite different then. Humans hadn't arrived on the global scene, and the climate was much warmer, hosting a huge variety of flora and fauna. So, things were quite different then. That is, some 650 million years back, things were quite different. They were not the same as they are today. So things were quite different. Human beings, that is, humans hadn't appeared on the scene. There was no trace of human beings on the planet, and the climate was quite warm. It was very warm, very hot, hosting a huge variety of flora and fauna, and at that time there were a number of thousands and lakhs of varieties, thousands and lakhs of varieties of plants and trees and animals were there. For 500 million years, Gondwana thrived, but around the time when the dinosaurs were wiped out and the age of the mammals got underway, the land mass was forced to separate into countries, shaping the globe much as we know it today. So, for 500 million years, Gondwana tribe developed. It developed in a big way, so there was proper development, proper growth of Gondwana region, or that supercontinent. But around the time when the dinosaurs were wiped out and mammals started to appear, and they started to rule this planet, the land mass was forced to separate. They started to move out. Land masses started to break up from the main continent, from the mainland mass that is Gondwana supercontinent. They started to break up and started to move away from it, and the way we find the Earth today, with countries situated at different places, the way they are situated today, this shape had actually, this process had actually started some 150 million years back, when dinosaurs were wiped out and the mammals appeared on the scene, and they started to rule the earth. To visit Antarctica now is to be a part of that history. So today, when we visit Antarctica, it is actually to be part of that history, the history that started some 650 million years back, to get a grasp of where we have come from and where we could possibly be heading. And going there is also a way to discover where we have come from and where we have been moving into the future. So all the mysteries can be can be say open up, can be revealed going there. It's to understand the significance of cordilleral folds and Precambrian granite shields. Going there, if you go there, it's also an opportunity. It also provides you an opportunity to understand the significance of cordilleran folds and Precambrian granite shields. This also provides this opportunity to understand these things, that is the folds, about the folds, and the shields, that is the rocks and the folds and all, that is the system of the plates and all. Ozone and carbon, evolution and extinction. So we have all the opportunities, all the different opportunities are provided there as we read there. It also gives us an opportunity to study ozone, carbon, evolution and extinction, everything. All the possibilities are there. All the possibilities of study are there. When you think about all that can happen in a million years, it can get pretty mind-boggling. And when you think all that can happen in a million years' time, that is, in a million years or so, how the things took a different turn, how things took a different shape. You go there, you understand this, and it's quite mind-boggling. It's quite surprising, quite stunning. Imagine India pushing northwards, jamming against Asia to buckle its crust and form the Himalayas. Just imagine going there. You can imagine how India started pushing northward direction and then jamming, squeezing against Asia to buckle its crust, then allowing the crust, the plate, Indian plate, to go down, go below the Asian crust, and in that process the Himalaya rising up. So all these possibilities are there. You go there and you can understand all these things. South America drifting off to join North America, and going there you can also understand how South America drifted off, and it drifted off to join North America. So South Africa moving towards north to join it, and then this opening up the Drake Passage to create a cold circumpolar current. And as the South America moved towards north, this opened up the Drake Passage, and this Drake Passage created this Drake Passage then allowed the cold circumpolar current, that is the current that moves around the pole and then comes through and then pass through this Drake Passage and then again go around the poles. So the current started moving in this way through Drake Passage, keeping Antarctica frigid, desolate, and at the bottom of the world. And in this way, as the air started to move through the Drake Passage and around the poles, it made the poles, that is Antarctica, very cold, and it had frozen. Antarctica made it desolate, that is isolated this, that is since it got the ice cover, so there could be no plants, no vegetation, no animals there. So it became a deserted place, and at the bottom of the world, and it went to the bottom of the world. For a sun worshipping South Indian like myself, 2 weeks in a place where 90% of the Earth's totalized volumes are stored is a chilling prospect. Not just for circulatory and metabolic functions, but also for the imagination. So the author says here that for South Indian, as the author was herself a South Indian, was from South India, and as is the case for the South Indian, as is the case in South India, people generally worship the sun god. They are the worshippers of sun, and for such people who always worship the sun, for them spending 2 weeks at a place where 90% of the world's total ice mass are stored is a chilling prospect, is a chilling possibility, is a possibility that the person would get chilled, get frozen, say. That is, the place would freeze her. Not just for circulatory and metabolic functions, this possibility is not only bad, chilling, or bad for circulatory and metabolic functions, but also for the imagination. That is, South Indian in particular cannot imagine staying at such a place, though it is physically also harming. It's physically also very challenging staying there, but at the same time, for imagination, it's quite difficult for South Indian. It's like walking into a giant ping pong ball. It's something like walking into a huge ping pong ball for a South Indian to imagine staying there for 2 weeks. So devoid of any human markers, no trees, billboards, buildings, and to imagine to stay there for 2 weeks where there are no human markers, like no trees, no billboards, no hoardings, no advertisement boards, and no buildings. It's not a nice thing. That's beyond imagination for South Indian. You lose all earthly sense of perspective and time here. So here in Antarctica, you lose all the senses of views, all the senses of time here. View and time, everything is lost, because here is only one view, that is the wide expanse everywhere. Besides this, there is no other view, no other side, and you cannot guess time here. This is special about this place. The visual scale ranges from the microscopic to the mighty, and the visual range, talking about the visual range, there are no plants, trees, buildings, mountains, this and that, but there are, of course, creatures are there. So talking about these creatures, the visual range of these creatures expand from tiny, microscopic to mighty. There are microscopic organisms are present, as well as mighty, gigantic, mammoth creatures can be found. midges and mites to blue whales and icebergs as big as countries. The largest recorded was the size of Belgium. So here, the visual scale, as previously mentioned, can be from, here you can find the midges and mites, that is small insects. Midges and mites are insects. From insects to the blue whale can be found, it can be seen here. Besides this, you have the sight of icebergs, and icebergs can be as big as countries, and the largest iceberg recorded in the history was the size of Belgium, the country named Belgium. Days go on and on and on in several 24-hour austral summer light. There is always light. That is no darkness. 24 hours. Very weird, bizarre austral light. Continental, this say Antarctic, southern continental light, that is, light is present 24 hours. There is no darkness. And a ubiquitous silence. There is light for 6 months. So 24 hours light there you'll get. At the same time, ubiquitous silence, omnipresent silence. Anywhere you go throughout this continent, there would be silence, complete silence. No bird chirping, no sound whatsoever here. So ubiquitous silence can be observed, can be found, can be noticed there. Interrupted only by the occasional avalanches and calving ice sheets, and the silence is often broken by the occasional avalanches that occur there, and at the same time carving of ice sheets, that is, breaking of ice sheets, consecrates this place. And these things, avalanches, consecrate the place, make the place holy, that is, make it very sacred. It's an immersion that will force you to place yourself in the context of the Earth's geological history. Reaching here, staying here is some kind of immersion, some kind of, say, the plunge that you take, something like a plunge you take, something like you remain submerged thoroughly as you place yourself there, as you decide to stay there. And you place here in the context of the Earth's geological history, and when you go there, you stay there in the context of Earth's geological history. That is, you go there to study the geological history of the Earth. And for humans, the prognosis isn't good, and for the humans, the view isn't good. That is, the signs aren't good for human beings. Considering the the geological history of the Earth, if we study the geological history of the Earth, we find degradation, and which is not good for the humans. The future human civilization have been around for a paltry 12,000 years, barely a few seconds on the geological clock. So human presence on this earth had been for 12,000 years only, and if we put this against the existence of this earth, it will stand only a few seconds. in that short amount of time. We've managed to create quite a ruckus, etching our dominance over nature with our villages, towns, cities, and megacities. But within this short time, we human beings have been able to stamp our dominance over nature and create a lot of ruckus, commotion around with our villages, towns, cities, and megacities. The rapid increase of human populations has left us battling with other species for limited resources, and the unmitigated burning of fossil fuel has now created a blanket of carbon dioxide around the world, which is slowly but surely increasing the average global temperature. And at the same time, the rapid increase of human population has left limited resources for the other species. That is, we human beings are consuming all the resources, and so the animals are not left with much resources, say, much of it rather. And the unmitigated burning of fossil fuels has now created a blanket of carbon dioxide around the world, and the complete use of fossil fuel. We have been using the fossil fuel only, and this has created a blanket of carbon dioxide around the world. That is a layer of carbon dioxide around the world, which is harmful, of course, which is slowly but surely increasing the average global temperature, and this is increasing the global temperature. Climate change is one of the most hotly contested environmental debates of our time, and climate change. We often talk about climate change, and this is hotly contested, hotly debated and fought environmental debate. Will the West Antarctic ice sheets melt entirely? This question often come up during debate, whether the Atlantic ice will melt completely. Will the Gulf Stream ocean current be disrupted? Whether the Gulf Stream ocean current, the ocean current that moves, that is present in the Gulf region, whether that will be disrupted, whether that will be disturbed. Will it be the end of the world as we know it? And if such things happen, there is a sure end of this earth, of this world. So will this happen? Will the world come to an end because of this? Because of the disturbance to these things? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, it can be either way. A possibility is there, and it may not happen as well. Either way, Antarctica is a crucial element in this debate. And either way, Antarctica is very crucial, is very vital element in this debate. Not just because it's the only place in the world which has never sustained a human population. It's not because of that this is the only place on earth which has no human population, which has not supported any human habitation, and therefore remains relatively pristine. And therefore, because of no human habitation, so this place remains very pure, say very unpolluted, very fresh in this respect. But more importantly, because it holds in its ice core 500,000-year-old carbon records. But this place is more important because this place holds the carbon record trapped in its eyes. That is, this place holds the carbon imprints in its cores that belongs to, say, 500,000 years. That is, the carbon records of 500,000 years still remain trapped, or they are present in the layers of this place. If we want to study and examine the Earth's past, present, and future, Antarctica is the place to go. And if we want to learn more about the Earth's present, past, and future, this is the only place to visit. Students on Ice, the program I was working with on the Sokasky, aims to do exactly this by taking high school students to the end of the world. So, the program that the author was working with, the author was assisting on Sokasky, the vessel academic Sokasky had the same aim, had the same objective, that is to tell people or to encourage people to go there and find and discover the present, past, and future of this earth. And for this, they have taken high school students to the end of this world, that is to Antarctica, and providing them with inspiring educational opportunities. And this also provides them with inspiring, motivating educational opportunity. This is an excellent opportunity to the young minds, which will help them foster a new understanding. This opportunity that had been provided, or that has been provided by this group, is excellent, and this will help them foster, develop, and grow a new understanding about the earth and respect for the planet. They will love the planet. They will start to have respect for the planet, and they will learn a lot about the present, past, and future of this. It's been in operation for 6 years now, headed by Canadian Geoff Green. This program was launched 6 years back and was headed by, and has been headed by Canadian Geoff Green, who got tired of courting celebrities and retired rich curiosity seekers who could only give back in limited ways. So when they started this program, and Geoff Green, who headed this program, was ferrying people at the beginning, to begin with, when they started the program, they were ferrying the celebrities, retired people, rich and curiosity seekers to this spot, but then they realized that they could only give back to the society and to the world in a limited way. With Students on Ice, he offers the future generation of policymakers a life-changing experience at an age when they are ready to absorb, learn, and most importantly act. So later they realized that no, they should work with the students, and then they launched a new program, Students on Ice, and this offers the future generation of policy makers a life-changing experience. This is a life-changing experience for the future policymakers who would be forming new policies for this earth, and they only can change the way we have been behaving, the way we have been torturing this earth, because here at this age they're ready to absorb the things the way they are, explain the things that they learn, and most importantly they are here at this age are ready to act. The reason the program has been so successful is because it's impossible to go anywhere near the South Pole and not be affected by it. So here are the reason. The reason pointed out why this program has been so successful, is that one going anywhere near the South Pole, if you go anywhere near the South Pole, it is impossible that you return home without getting influenced by this place. And that's why people are crazy about this place, are very much wanting to return to this place, and that's why among students it's a very successful. It's easy to be blazed about polar ice caps melting while sitting in the comfort zone of our respective latitude and longitude. It's very easy to stay far off places at our homes in our countries and talk about the melting ice caps of this region. It's very easy, but when you can visibly see glaciers retreating and ice shelves collapsing, you begin to realize that the threat of global warming is very real. In the second case, very easy to talk about global warming, talk about the ice melting and all that. When you visibly see, when you personally see things happening there in the glacier, in the polar regions, it's something that you realize that yes, the threat of global warming is very much real. It's very much true, and that we must act now to prevent this world, to help preserve these ice caps, to save this earth. Antarctica, because of her simple ecosystem and lack of biodiversity, is the perfect place to study how little changes in the environment can have big repercussions. So the author feels that this is the best place, Antarctica is the best place to conduct any kind of study, to know how a little change can have a big impact on the ecosystem, on the environment. Because this place is simple. This is not having biodiversity. This is not having a variety of flora and fauna. So it's very easy to understand the changes that take place. Take the microscopic phytoplankton, those grasses of the sea and that nourish and sustain the entire Southern Ocean's food chain. Now take for example the microscopic phytoplankton. Phytoplankton is a microscopic, that is very tiny grass. And what is spoken about these grasses, that they nourish, they feed the ocean creatures of the ocean there, and the entire Southern Ocean. And because of this, only they sustain their life. The animals, the creatures there sustain their life. That is the only source of food for them. The single-cell plants use the sun's energy to assimilate carbon and synthesize organic compounds, and that wondrous and most important process called photosynthesis. So here, these single-cell plants use the sun's energy to absorb carbon, that is carbon dioxide, and synthesize, again absorb organic compounds, and that wondrous and most important of the process called photosynthesis. So these single-cell plants only do the process and complete this process that is called photosynthesis, and that process, that way, produce the food for itself. It grow, it thrive, and it becomes the food for the creatures and the Southern Ocean. So this is all for now. Thank you. Scientists warn that a further depletion in the ozone layer will affect the activities of phytoplankton. So the scientists have warned the human societies, that is, the scientists have warned the people, the societies, that a further depletion of the ozone layer, that is, further more depletion of the ozone layer, the further thinning down of this layer would adversely affect phytoplankton, which in turn will affect the lives of all the marine animals and birds of the region. And as phytoplankton get adversely affected, badly affected, so the effect of phytoplankton would also be observed in the lives of the marine animals. That is, phytoplankton is the only source of food for the marine birds and animals. So if phytoplankton is adversely affected, if its growth is impaired, if it gets less amount of say energy or some other essential elements, then the entire ecosystem of the ocean will get badly or adversely affected, and that would influence the birds and animals and all, and the global carbon cycle, and as a result the global carbon cycle will also be affected. In the parable of the phytoplankton, there is a great metaphor for existence. So here there is a story related to, a small story related to the phytoplankton, or say the small grass or tiny grass, and there in that parable, in that story, there is a great metaphor. There is, that is, rhetorics have been used in that story, for existence. Existence means for the existence of lives, whether human or plant or animal lives. And what is that? Take care of the small things, and the big things will fall into place. So the saying is, take care of the small things. If you can take care of the small things, or the big things would automatically happen, or will automatically take place, or will automatically happen. So that is the story, or say the saying related to tiny grass, that is say phytoplankton. My Antarctic experience was full of such epiphanies, but the best occurred just short of the Antarctic Circle at 65.55 degrees south. So, what she says here, she says that the Antarctic experience was full of such epiphanies, such great and wonderful happenings, and great and wonderful revelation to her. But the best of these moments occurred just short of Antarctic Circle. The best moment occurred just short of Antarctic Circle, when she was on her way to Antarctic Circle, and there, just before that, the best incident took place, the best moment took place of her life there. That was at 65.55 degrees south. The location was 65.55 degrees south. The Sokalsky had managed to wedge herself into a thick white stretch of ice between the peninsula and Tadpole Island. Okay, so here, what was the case? That the Sokalsky, that vessel, that ship, Sokalsky, Academic Sokalsky, had got stuck between Peninsula and Tadpole Island. It got stuck there between these two places, Peninsula and Tadpole Island, and there, which was preventing us from going any further. And because it got stuck, so they were not able to move any further. The captain decided we were going to turn around and head back north. So the captain decided that the further movement, or say as further advancement, was not possible for them. So he would take a turn round. That is, from there only they are going to return back. So the captain said so, that they're going to head back north, they're going to return. But before we did, we were all instructed to climb down the gangplank and walk on the ocean. But before that happened, all the passengers, all the people on board were asked to climb down, were asked to disembark using the gangplank, using the particular ladder or the plank that is used to embark and disembark, that is used to get on board and off board, or say climb down the disembark the ship, any ship, aircraft or the ship. So that is called gangplank. So the captain instructed all the passengers to climb down using the gangplank and walk on the ocean, and also instructed them to walk on the ocean. So there we were, all 52 of us, kitted out in Gore-Tex and Glare. So all the 52 passengers now disembarked, they climbed down and were kitted out in Gore-Tex. They were given proper equipments, proper clothing, so they were given Gore-Tex, they were given the jackets, which were very warm at the same time, that were having some kind of breathing gaps. And glares means specs, glasses, walking on a stark whiteness that seemed to spread out forever, and they were supposed to walk on a stark whiteness, a stark, complete whiteness, complete spread of white that seemed to spread out forever, that seemed to spread out forever, for good, forever, for always. Underneath our feet was a meter thick ice pack, and underneath their feet was a meter thick ice pack. That is, the layer of ice was 1 meter in its thickness. And underneath that sheet of ice was 180 meter of living, breathing salt water, and under that was a salt water lake was there, or say salt water sea or lake, say lake was there, and that was say 180 meter in depth. In the periphery, crab-eater seals were stretching and sunning themselves on ice floes, much like stray dogs will do under the shade of a banyan tree. So there in the periphery, in the area around, there were the crab-eater seals relaxing, stretching out themselves and sunning. That is, they were taking the rays of the sun, enjoying the, say, sun bath. It was nothing short of a revelation, and it was nothing short of a revelation that is bringing the things to light, revealing the secret, say. Everything does indeed connect, and here she comes to the conclusion that everything connects in some way or the other. Here in the residential areas, or say in the human habitation, we find the dogs lying and relaxing under the banyan tree, and here where there is no human habitation, the seals spread themselves on the floes and they bask in the sun. So there is some connection, say some sort of connection in human and say animal behaviors here. 9 time zones, 6 checkpoints, 3 bodies of water, and many ecospheres later, I was still wondering about the beauty of balance in play on our planet. So, as she returned back, and returning back again involved the same thing, that is crossing 9 time zones, 6 checkposts, 3 bodies of water, and many ecospheres. And then when she reached home, she is sitting in the comfort of her home. She was still wondering about the beauty of balance in play on our planet. That is the way the nature, in fact, has struck a fine balance between the things. So she was just wondering about this. How would it be if Antarctica were to become the warm place that it once used to be? Now she wondered if Antarctica became a warm place again as it used to be earlier, as it were earlier. I say as it was earlier. Will we be around to see it, or would we have gone the way of the dinosaurs, mammoths, and really rhinos? And whether she wondered whether she would stay there, she would live there to see such a time to come when the Antarctica region would turn again very warm and all the ice there would melt. She also wonders here, she also wondered whether she would die the way she would be wiped out, the way the dinosaurs and the mammoths and the woolly rhinos were wiped out from the earth. Who's to say? Who will give this answer? Who has this answer? But after spending 2 weeks with a bunch of teenagers who still have the idealism to save the world, all I can say is that a lot can happen in a million years. So, after spending 2 weeks with a group of teenagers who still have the idealism to save the world, who still think in a very idealistic way to save the planet, all the author can say here that a lot can happen in a million years. Obviously, a lot can happen in a million years' time. Though it may not happen immediately, but in a million years' time, it will definitely happen. It will definitely occur. And I can say a lot can happen in a million years, but what a difference a day makes. Although changes will take place in millions of years, it will take millions of years to bring about a change, to see a change taking place on this planet. But what a change, what a difference it makes when you spend a day there in the region. That is, a day there can make a huge change in your life. So this is all, and with this we have come to the end of this chapter. Thank you.